Hiya, hiya. It's another Reynolds rap. Though it's not a rap yet. We just begun. And we've only just begun. And I want to introduce Jay Sorensen, who, of course, sat next to me for almost 50 shows, I think. Somehow or other, he hasn't left. But we think for some reason that Jay should know that Cousin Brucey is going to WABC Radio, which is where we were last year and a half ago, I guess. We were on every Sunday night between at 9 p.m. between WABC in New York and KABC in LA with the first simulcast on radio and TV. So now Cousin Brucey is leaving the satellite world to go to the conventional broadcasting world, which is new owner of WABC and the guy who owns a grocery store. So what's his Gristides? Is that the one that he owns in New York? Is that the name of the store?
Yes.
And that guy has bought the radio station, and he's going to have a different kind of a format. You know, anybody that'll give him money will go on the air. Thanks, kid.
Yes.
So, you know, as soon as I go on the air, the kids show up, right?
Every time.
Or it rains.
Yes.
This is the danger of being outside. So, so Cousin Brucey is going to be there, and I was figuring maybe it would be a good combination, Jay. Hey, kids, I'm broadcasting. Stop it.
Quiet, I'm broadcasting.
Right? That's like telling the bird to shut up. All right. Listen to this. As soon as I start, these kids start, right? As soon as I begin. Anyway, hi, kids. How are you? Good to see me. This is the demographic that I'll never have, no matter what.
No.
They won't even come to my funeral, these guys.
No.
But, you know, this is the idea. I think on WABC, they're going to have Cousin Brucey. They should have Uncle Floyd. And I think Aunt Jemima. Just do the whole family.
They changed the name.
And that's Jay Reubens. Hi, Jay. How are you?
Hi,
This is another Jay. This is the Jay that lives down the street from me in Florida. And we met a while ago, I think, when we were...
2011.
Yeah, you had a hand sanitizer. Isn't that right, Jay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were a dentist, and you were putting out a product called... what was it called?
safeHands.
safeHands.
Jay, I'm talking to Jay Reubens, and you're answering for him. Jay Sorensen, what do you got? Your hand up his back and doing the voice? So Dr. Reubens, right? Isn't that right? And you had put out this product, which is, you invented it. Is that correct?
Alcohol-free hand sanitizer, yes.
All right, so it's an alcohol-free sanitizer, right?
Yes, sir.
And this particular item was in deference to people who are using this other stuff that has alcohol in it and dries up the skin and also maybe not good for kids, et cetera, et cetera. So you came out with this wonderful idea.
Correct.
And it was a great product.
Thank you.
Now the company is off and running. You started it and you got out of the way, and now those guys are going to make a lot of money. You're going to be pissed off. No, just like Reynolds. I see Reynolds with, I lived next door to Reynolds. They had a sauce they put out. And the guys who, as soon as they sold the company, now Aureus is making all kinds of products, all kinds of Italian food. And that's what happens when you get a big organization to run with the ball. So what are you doing now, Jay?
Well, I still own my equity in safeHands, and I have a company called Safe Paws, which is actually for doggies. So you can put it on the doggies' paws, and it's very safe for them. It's called Safe Paws. This actually is a travel kit that you can now, especially with COVID and everybody's concerned, you can put your sanitizer in here, and you have your little baggies in the back. And so this is one of my companies. And my other company is called C2M. We do PPEs. So we're putting in, freeing up distribution to get gowns and masks and supplies to the front lines in hospitals, and doing it for a very fair price. There was a lot of marketing or supposed marketing going out there with price gouging, etc. And I'm sure people have heard about.
Oh yeah.
Because I've been in this industry for 30 years, we've been able to elevate ourselves to a status of doing it right. It's been very, very
30 years. Wait, 30 yeyears. What have you been doing for 30 years? You mean the safeHands?
I invented the first alcohol-free hand sanitizer. Just happens to be behind me. Which is this was ubiquitous when I invented it in 1992. People had never seen a touch-free dispenser before. So that company's name was Ultra Cleanse. That was purchased by Ecolab, and that was in 2015. So I've been in and around this particular market for 3 decades now since I.
Wow! Congratulations.
Well, thank
and you were a dentist at one time, right?
Yes, I was.
Do you still pull teeth, or is that gone now?
No, I don't. I'm done.
No, because I got one right here that needs something.
I've been practicing 25 years. But I just asked a question to Jay Sorensen. Do you floss, Jay?
Do I what?
Jay, do you floss?
Of course I floss.
Okay, want to make sure. All right,
Yeah,
Joe.
I think he's lying.
So
he's not. He doesn't floss. You could tell he's got seaweed between his teeth from the Jersey Shore. I live with my ex-wife as a hygienist, as you know.
You live with your ex?
Actually a golfer, so she knows her way around the greens, and she knows how to get. She has a wonderful touch, and so she's able to do that as a profession. She was trained at Farley Dickens, so but went on tour as a golfer, so that kind of ended. You know, when you make money in golf, you kind of forget dentistry. Exactly. I guess when you make money in frontliner stuff, you're not going to go back. You're not going to open a dental office.
I practiced for 10 years. I just didn't love it. I had a really big practice. I had about 6 dentists working for me, and I wasn't getting up in the morning and loving what I was doing. So I basically followed my dream, invented some products, and got into business, and I've never looked back. It's what I'm wired to do. You know, I'm not wired.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So fortunately, it worked out. I'm very lucky.
And the doggy stuff that you got.
It's interesting because I came up with this and trademarked safePaws 7 years ago. And I learned discipline from my mentors to try to stay focused on the core business itself, which was safeHands. And now that safeHands has grown and they're in CVS and 10 different chains that are out there, I was able to branch off and now open up safePaws with one of my partners. And we've got distribution now that's going to be all across the country. So it's exciting.
Well, I got this thing over at BJ's, and there's a recall on it now. Because it has wood alcohol in it.
It's methanol.
And so this one here, they want you to take it back. They want you to throw it out.
Yeah.
And then and use the code number and apply for the refund. Most people won't do that, probably, like myself. I mean, it's difficult to stay involved in this game of asking for a refund. But they offer you that.
I'm sorry. So what happened out there is there was a short supply of alcohol gels, and what happened was the regulations were, let's say, lowered, but they were a lot more lax. So you've got a lot of distilleries that came out with product, and people that were trying to find the ethyl alcohol couldn't find it. So they said, why not put methanol in, which is very poisonous. And it turns out there's 100 some odd companies and products that are out there that have methanol in it.
There's now 135 hand sanitizers with alcohol that have been recalled by the FDA. Now, 135 brands.
Yeah, I know.
It's tough.
I have them all over here.
Every single one.
And all sizes, too.
He's been hoarding them.
Wow. My favorite one, though, is the one that you probably are not familiar with. This is the one that I hate the most, the Perel, because I think it's absolutely... it haunts me. You go to the hospital and you wipe your hands to go in, and it's alcohol. It's all alcohol. Yeah. But the one that I really am amazed with, Jay, are you watching?
I'm watching.
It's called Ass Wipes.
Well, it fits.
Perfect wipe for all occasions. And what they said, it says, gentle enough for babies. It says for your ass, your crotch, your pits, your face and feet, and your kids. And your kids, too.
Wow.
Can you imagine putting that on a product and going to... They're not going to do this at Walgreens, are they? But that's the world we're living in right now. I mean, people are doing anything to sell stuff. Even Dr. J here, who's got that doggy product. I mean, it should be a broadcast product. We pause for station identification. You might want to put that on there.
Yeah, really.
Exactly.
So, the doggy world, do you have a dog yourself, Jay?
I don't. There's Big J. We call Big J and
no,
Jay.
No, you, Dr. J. We're talking to you. This is time with you now.
I lost it in a custody battle. And then I was asked why, would I pay $150 a month for the dog?
For a dog.
And I said, why? I don't own the dog. And then my lawyer said, why do you have anything against the dog? I said, I don't. He's not living in my house. So I love the dog.
Wow.
I haven't had a dog since then.
And when you play golf, there's a dog leg, as you know, in the on the links. But that's probably the part you wind up with if you paid, if you're going to sell it for your wife. Well, how do you get half a dog except to go to the ballpark?
You know, just shared custody, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you're now very happy with your new industry. You're on the road with products that are helping us. They're serving us.
Yep.
And that's a great idea. Plus, you can make money when everybody else can't.
Well,
because right now
it's unfortunate for a lot of people, but I think the destiny really funneled into this particular space at this particular time because there's such a need. And it's sad when I watch the news that I see that there are, in hospitals, they're wearing like those plastic slickers, that you wear for the rain because they don't have gowns to wear. Yeah. They didn't have masks and they're using socks and other things. And yet I know there's hundreds of millions of these things that are out there stuck in the supply chains because people are kind of fighting over it. So we've done a nice job really with high integrity and getting out there and putting both buyer, being the factories themselves, with the buyers that want to put them into the front lines and putting together with fair prices. I mean, that's the way to do it. And it feels really good to do it as well. That's the best part of it.
Well, the controversy now is the masks that have the little horn on it, that little breathing apparatus that we used during World War II. The parachute jumper mask. They say that's not good.
Now they're saying right?
They say the one that you ought to use is the one that's very simple and blocks all of your, like that. I don't like it. Who does? But I don't like going out with people because I can't understand them.
What?
Everybody, most people don't have good speech anyway. They don't. Regular, everyday, average people have a hard time with
enunciation. Yeah,
enunciation, but also with throwing their voice. And they almost whisper or something. I can't hear anything. Plus, I'm deaf from radio and television. We wear those headsets. I don't think I've heard a word.
All these.
And marriage too. That'll deafen you a little bit.
That'll kill you.
Yeah. So, Dr. J, are you there? Hello.
Yes.
Such a quiet guy. You've done a good job with all of these products here, and you're an entrepreneur at this point.
I saw a need years ago because there were people that should check. 1997. There were people that were checking into hospitals and weren't checking out. There were about 60 some odd thousand people that actually died, and AMA and the FDA related it to the lack of hand washing because people just weren't washing their hands. They were transferring germs and that type of thing. And then I lost a family member to MRSA. So that's when I invented the first touch-free dispenser because I knew from behavioral modification you had to do something that was easy, safe, and fast that allowed somebody that what would cause them to actually do it, make it easy, put your hand under it and go. So I did some studies in some restaurants where actually the waitress, the servers were doing this and the people in the kitchen were just wiping their hands this way because they had to break bad habits. And once we put the touch-free dispenser up there, actually they were doing their hands. And then the alcohol hand sanitizer came out at the same time, and they teamed that up with a touch-free dispenser. And then later on, I couldn't use alcohol on my hands. My staff couldn't use it on their hands. So like a lot of things in life, when things get born, it's because of need or something that you see. And that's why I took a benzalkonium chloride base, which is in eye drops and nose sprays and mouthwashes and type of thing. It's safe. And I blended it into a formula that you could use on your hands. And in fact, we did a study that showed that we actually kill more germs over time than alcohol.
And why is that?
Go ahead.
Why does it kill more than alcohol? How does that work?
This is the study that we did. I've been very careful what I say because there are some companies out there that actually fired lawsuits at us that wanted to prevent us from getting into the market for basically saying the right things, those types of things. So all I can really say is that alcohol dried my hands. Okay, let's just say I could be the only one on the planet whose hands dry from alcohol. So if my hands dry from alcohol, and I have cracks in my hands and I'm touching surfaces, that's a vector of contamination because it's going to get through. So one hand you're killing the germs, the other hand you could be opening up your hands. Not everybody. I'm just saying it's me. Could be nobody else. And that was the situation that we got in. So what I saw was a need, like with the touch-free dispensers. I would go into hospitals and say, well, do you have latex-free gloves? Well, of course we do. Okay. Do you have alcohol-free? No. Well, we don't need it. Well, why do you need a latex-free? You have latex. Well, people are allergic to it. I said, okay. Well, people aren't using alcohol, and they need an alcohol-free. So it's that type of education, and it took a very long time to get that education out there. And I think with anything, you need options, and it's not.
How about powder? What about powder? And even Johnson got in trouble with baby powder.
That was one of the laws. They found out that it could be carcinogenic. Yeah. So
now methanol. Is that what this alcohol thing that's no good is? Isn't that used in automobiles now? Is that used in cars?
It's pretty toxic. Yeah, and I think what happened was when the regulations, they're out there, but because there was such a need, it was it was very hard to track all the different distributors. When you go into stores now, you'll see 20 different brands you've never seen before.
Yeah.
They felt, okay, one alcohol can substitute for another, and that's not the way it works. Methanol, and the problem is there's not a pandemic or an epidemic. There are a lot of kids that actually drink the alcohol gels because they can get high. And if you go online, you'll see it. And sometimes they put salt in it and the alcohol comes up and they drink it. So, but the issue there is, they'll get sick. There's maybe a couple of cases where people have died from it. But methanol, when they're drinking it, that's what they're coming in. They're drinking it and they're dying because it's poison.
Yeah.
It's like odds, it's like other things. And hopefully they'll be able to get everything off the shelves and get it out of, and be able to send it back. But there's a lot out there.
Is there is there any problem with the Federal Trade Commission or with the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration? I mean, they have to approve your products too?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So usually this wouldn't have happened, but yeah, there's very stringent standard operating procedures and QC that you have to do, and you have to, like for example, our product, we put it in a big vat. We have to test the batch, it's called, and we send it out for micro testing and make sure it's killing the germs. And then we have to take product from the line itself and test that again before it's released. So it's not like one of those things where you place an order today and we ship it out 3 days from now because it's a testing period. Maybe some people do it, some people don't. We were right by the rules and regulations, which you should do because it's an important thing. It's not like shoe polish or something out there. This is something that you need for your health and safety. And the issue is, ever since the alcohol gels were I'm not saying it has anything to do with them, but since it got into the marketplace, those hospital-acquired infections and the people that died has gone up.
I don't think anybody understands that the FDA does not do this work paid by the government. This work is private. You have to pay for it. If you have a company and you want them to test something, you have to give them $3 or $4 million. Isn't that right?
You got to pay a lot. We did clinical testing. Yeah. Big J can tell you. When we were on the show together, I didn't know that you had MRSA. How many times?
I had MRSA 10 times, and I learned so much about staph infections and hospital-acquired versus community-acquired. I learned so much about this stuff. I'm part of a book called Superbug. I'm chapter 3 in a book that was written, and you were aware of that. And I wrote a blog for safeHands for many years. I learned so much about infectious
disease. You keep saying how much you learned. What is it you learned?
Well, I learned.
That's the number one thing you learned.
Well, I learned not to use alcohol sanitizer. That was probably the biggest thing. And I think that.
And what is MRSA? Let's ask the public. That sounds like a song title.
No, doctor, you pronounce it.
MRSA. What is it?
Methicillin resistant Staph Aureus. So it's a staph that's resistant to antibiotics. You can have antibiotics out there, but that's what's called a superbug. The superbug goes up and above your antibiotics, and that's how people die. There's something called Clostridium difficile that they have that runs rampant in nursing homes, and it's very pathogenic. It's a killer, and it's one of those things.
Well, let's say we don't live on an even playing field right now. In America, we are experiencing this pandemic. And, my daughter is very smart. My one daughter is really into the whole idea of not accepting this as being anything really unusual, because she said that the planet is loaded with all kinds of changes right now, which we are. with the weather. You know, some people don't acknowledge it, but the weather, the water, and the various conditions that we live under, and our immune systems. So our immune system, because the body is so resilient, it builds some of resistance, and it also accepts other diseases and disposes of them after it processes them. So that's the medical term that I think they use is it's a process. It's a process. So now my daughter was saying to me today that this pandemic, this particular virus, is very much we have them all the time. She said it depends on how many people die from it. This one is huge. This particular one, and there are many of them. They come and they go. She has me drinking some stuff now. She has me taking magnesium and also vitamin D, and to build my immune. I take the yoga, which is the working of the body. You have to play into your own body and play into your own system. And how does there's 350 million people here in this country. Why are we all sick right now? What happened? Where did this thing come from?
Well, it's mutating. It's an angry virus. It came from animals, and I call it an angry virus, and I tell people because it's very unpredictable. It's there were people that actually build up antibodies to get it again. What does that mean? That's not the same virus. It's mutating. It's turning into another virus, and then making another virus. And I'm an optimist, but I can tell you from the beginning is people think this is a second wave. We're not even through the first wave. And again, I hope and I pray and I think that we just have to do the right thing. I mean, you got to live your life, but you really should wear a mask. And have them with people that are on the far right, and they can say that it's a scandemic, and that's crazy. It's not a scamdemic. I can understand there are some statistics that are there. If someone passes away, they've got a number of different illnesses, and they happen to have COVID, so they're rated as COVID. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that people are dying, and it's a very tough virus to kill. Like, for example, when I said MRSA, why do we have MRSA? MRSA, it generated and it mutated and it became a virus, it became a bacterial infection that don't kill. What do you do with something like that? So you've got to isolate it. I mean, Jay's a modern miracle to have Jay to get it 10 times and still be here. That's
amazing. Yeah.
Well, Jay, it's a miracle. It's a miracle that Jay has shown up on my show 10 times. I would have quit the first day. But Jay, you are a miracle, and we've known each other for a long time, and you've been through a lot of things, and you seem to bounce them off. But you take good care of yourself. I mean, you're vigilant, and I don't think many people don't know about that. That you really have to address things as they occur. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, sure. I can tell you that when I came down with MRSA the first time, it was after surgery, and it was the hospital-acquired version, which means that where I touched something or someone touched me who had the bacteria on their gloves or hands or whatever. It could have been it could have been on the doctor's robe. It could have been on the nurse's outfit. It could have been on the handles of the hospital bed. And I ended up in isolation for 3 months. The first time, 4 months the second time. I spent a total of a year in hospitals during a 5-year period. I had about 8 or 9 surgeries, and then through some mistakes that were made, I ended up with this bacteria 10 times. And the only way you can kill it, in my case, because I was what they call vancomycin resistant, called VRE, which means that vancomycin alone would not kill the bacteria, because it has become the bacteria are smart. They've been around for trillions of years, since the universe has been around, and they figure out a way to mutate to stay alive. And they will do anything. It's a miracle how that happens. It's scientific, and I don't begin to understand it. But they figure out a way to survive, and
it's like the Clintons.
Yes, they find a way to survive somehow. It's just amazing.
And how does all this stuff, Dr. J. Reubens, how does this all turn into politics? Why does it always turn into politics?
It shouldn't. It's a shame. I don't, you know, I don't think it always does, but I think in this particular climate it does, because people are putting their political persuasions over health.
Yeah.
You know, when it becomes you must be a Democrat, you must be this or that because you wear, and I'm an independent, but you know, because you wear a mask, what are we saying? I mean, I take offense to all of that, because I went to somebody's house. They invited me over. There's 4 people. We were just sitting and talking. I listened to the whole thing for 2 hours, and I finally voiced my opinion. And they're yelling at me, and I go, "Hey, I don't need to be sticking around this. I mean, I have a book." But they come, you know, again, scandemics, and this is something we need to take very seriously. And then we're hearing from a certain person that kids are immune to it. And that's dangerous. Yeah. Unfortunately, what's going on now is dangerous because it's about health.
Yeah.
But I get it. There's extreme thinking. There's this side and there's that side. But, you know, we need to be diligent. We need to do the right thing. We need to take it seriously. We shouldn't look at somebody and say, "Oh, why are you wearing a mask?" You know, someone's looking down at you because you're wearing a mask. That's the one way to prevent other people from if you happen to have it, right, from transferring it. So isn't that doing the right thing? When did doing the right thing become the wrong thing?
We at the Jersey Shore recently have had many parties, these pop-up parties that happen. 400 or 500 people show up, and no one's wearing a mask, and they're all partying as if nothing is going on, nothing is wrong, everybody's fine. And they don't realize that when they go home and see their parents the next day, they could transfer it to someone in their family very quickly. And there's where the thinking just boggles my mind. And if wearing a mask is too difficult for you, I feel sorry for you, and I feel sorry for the people that they will affect potentially if they have this. And I'm not being a preacher here, but I have firsthand knowledge of this stuff, and I know. And regardless of my political persuasion, I'm going to go to my grave fighting for people to wake up when it comes to their health.
Well, I hope you don't.
No. I'm probably going to be buried at sea, so you know.
No, you know, we're just going to take it. We're gonna. Well, with me, they're going to cremate me and roll a joint, and everybody's going to smoke me. Now, you know what happened with Putin now? You know, that wonderful president of Russia that has balls to call his vaccine Sputnik because they said they were the first in space. You know what they don't tell you. I just want to say this because it's just on my mind. I hate Russia. I don't hate the country. I hate what they're doing with the communists. I don't like them, and I never liked them, and I don't like them now, and I won't like them later. I will tell you this: I did my show from there a couple of times, and I was the guest to Putin through the person who gave them banking. And the reason I don't like them is that they're not grateful. They had 50 years of communism after the World War II, and they never had any ownership. Nobody in Russia could own anything. There were no mortgages. There was no banking. And President Clinton allowed Pat Clarity to work with Yeltsin and go in and teach them how to bank. So that's how they learned. They had no money. And individuals had no rights at all. And so this guy here takes a bow like he invented the world. You know, I mean, this is like the 2,000-year-old man with Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks. He's the third guy. You know, this is that ego-centered political crap that we're living with the media. I mean, it's not who's first. It's the fight on this planet should not be for who has the most power, who has the most money, but who has given the most service. That's the fight. The fight is, how can I serve my country? And instead of me, what can I give to my country? And that seems to get lost. You know, today we got a new vice president who happens to be a black woman, I think she is.
You got her elected already. Wait a minute. She's a candidate.
We're running for office with you know, this whole thing. There's nobody I like. So let's start with that. I'm a political atheist. And, well, I am. I mean, I'm not going to vote for anybody because I don't like any of them. But I don't mind telling you that. I'm just one of those guys. Don't worry about mailing it in because it ain't going to be mailed in at all. I don't trust the mail anyway. So the thing is that if I'm going to vote, it'd be by Amazon. And it'd probably be by phone. But you know, we have a country that's so screwed up with people being separated. If we can only get together and all understand each other in the same room, and start to realize that we're all the same in spirit, but we're not all the same in personality, and we're violating all the principles. And the way the world needs to be is principles over personalities, and we have the other way around. And we have money over work. You know, people should not be working for money. They should be working and then paid for working. But we don't have this right. We lost our way. And no one wants to say anything easily on the media because they're making money off of this crap. The only place we can get away with it so far is this place here, you know, the internet.
Yeah.
And they want to take that away too. So what Jay's done, Jay Reubens done something really wonderful. He's given us a product that actually should have been right away. It should have kicked Perel's ass.
Yeah.
And this is my own opinion. You know, I'm saying it. I'll be the one being in trouble. But I think that should have happened because it was the right product at the right time before we had this, before we had this pandemonium or pandemic.
And now more than ever, it should score.
Well, now more than ever, you know what? Now we're finding out that the alcohol has got wood grain in it, or whatever it is. Grain wood is not good for you. We go all the way around to find something because we're so busy living around something rather than solving it. We don't go to the core. And you know, Jay, you made a comment. You said this came from. You indicated that this came from animals. This particular. Disease that we're living with, this COVID-19. I don't know that it came from animals. I don't know where it came from. I have not bright enough to figure it out. But I have no idea that I don't know how it got this big. How did it get this big, Jay? Not Sorensen, Jay Reubens.
Well, it got this big because it's you know, it's like I said, it's an angry virus and it spreads very quickly, and it's not, you know, anybody that has a immune system issue, it's going to exploit it. And, you know, I mean, there's different places you think they think it came from a lab. They think, you know, I think it's the RNA and the you know, putting bats in cages and animals and treating them, and then, you know, genes are smart and they find a way to fight back. Basically, it's as crazy as that sounds. And the way this thing mutated and the way it attacked us, we kind of created it on our own, unfortunately. But wherever it came from, it's just it's a tough one. It's not like, you know, when we get the cold and flu season and people get the flu, people, yes, they die. And they're saying now that, you know, people die, but not at this rate and not at the way there's millions and millions of people that, you know, this was supposed to burn off, right? We're not going to get political, but the heat is going to burn off. And it's messages like that cause the problem. You can see countries that there are issues and countries that did it right, and they contained it because they didn't think it was a joke.
Right.
When you have at the top of the leadership chain thinking it's a joke and people believe that, then that becomes a problem. And it's not one of those things. I mean, we could have been in a much, much, much better place. And someone said, well, you should be happy about it. Well, you know, I'm not happy about it because my business is what was the word again? Growing. Let's use that word. The business is growing because, you know, we're doing and we're giving back, but it didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be in a situation now where we open things up. I mean, I don't know what it is because you got to live your life, and it becomes difficult too. The suicide rates are up. It has such a residual effect. People aren't working. It's a shame. It's a tough thing. But if we treated it right at the beginning, if we didn't say it was a joke, if we didn't blame it on the Democrats, if we didn't poo-poo it aside and kiss it off, and we did the right thing, I'm telling you, we'd be in a much better place.
So what can we do now? Can we overcome this, or is it too late?
We can overcome it by wearing a mask and doing. You know, the problem is, maybe 50% of the people think the masks are a joke. There's the problem.
The Japanese have been wearing masks for a long time out of kindness when they have a cold. Japanese wear the masks, and so do bank robbers. But you know, you could walk into a bank with a mask now, and nobody would flinch. Right. You know, you can't do an Al Pacino. But what are we going to do now? How do we get out of this thing? That's the question to you, Dr. J.
Well, I think we have to do the isolation. I mean, we have to wear the mask. We have to be careful. We can't go to these parties. I mean, you see these parties, they have COVID parties, and there's a kid, I don't know exactly what the story was. Someone told me that he said, I really made the wrong bet. I made the wrong decision. He went to a COVID party, and he died because someone had it. And if you've got a problem, if you've got a immune problem that you don't know about, it's going to exploit it. That's the thing. And I think it's getting stronger and stronger as we grow along. And I'm not a pessimist and I'm not a gloom and doom guy at all, but I'm in the middle of this thing. And I can see what's going on, and I know what's going on in the front lines. And I felt horrible, especially when you see supplies are available that can help, and they're just people are fighting over them because 3M masks were like $7 a mask because 5 different brokers were stepping on it. And each broker's taking 50 cents. It's only 50 cents. And 10 brokers later, it's $8, and it was killing me because it needs to be in a hospital. So I think that was I'm always driven by some kind of mission, whether it's to make a change, whether it's a touch-free dispenser and make a change in terms of your daily habits. Because I lost somebody, and I see people that died. People like Jay. That's a perfect example when you talk about COVID. How did he get MRSA? Where did he get it? He got it because someone transferred it to him. Someone breathed in him or didn't wash their hands. That's how this whole thing happens.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this thing is we've got to take a measure where we all wear masks, we all take it seriously, but it's become very political. And I've been with people. I got in an elevator here. I live in downtown Boca, and I got in an elevator. And a guy's on there, he goes, you're wearing a mask. I said, what's the problem? He goes, it's just a joke. It's a scamdemic. I said, it's people like you that are causing this problem. He goes, oh, you're just an alarmist. I said, I'm not going to have this idiotic conversation with you. I'm just not going to do it.
People are shooting each other over this.
Right? So if the problem is I'm looking down on you because you're wearing a mask, there's the problem. It's right there, right in front of us.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
Well, I had lunch today. I know how to eat lunch now without taking the masks off. You need a blender and a straw, and that'll be the end of it. Well, I guess, Dr. J, we got to give your site here because you're really you're a great guy and you're a good fellow. You know, I mean, that's why we want to have people on the air, on our little air, with quality and people who are shining stars, but don't necessarily look for the spotlight and aren't trying to be showing off and, all the rest of the crap. All of our broadcasts are with people like you who are wonderful soldiers. You're a great soldier in the war against anything that's going to get in the way of our happiness. You're a good guy. And I'd like you to give your site so that we can go and look at your products, if you don't mind sharing that with us.
Well, fantastic.
Where do we go?
Well, you want to go to safeHands, which is safehands.com.
Yeah.
SafeHands. And then my other one is concept2market.com. CONCEPT dash.
You better say that. You better say that again. I'm going.
Speak up just a little bit, Doctor, if you could.
Concept what?
Concept. CONCEPT.
If you move closer to the screen, I think the microphone. Yeah. Seriously. Don't do that.
CEPT dash market MARKET.com.
Yeah, we see that you have flossed. So as you move closer, it's very good. So thank you for being with us today, and I'm going to just drink my Clorox and
please
fight this thing here.
It's like the word I was trying to say was flourishing, and I just lost it. I don't know where it was, but it came back to me.
Well, thank you for being here, and Jay. I'm glad you're alive, Jay, because I can't do this alone.
I know, and you'd have nobody to call at 11 o'clock at night when you're thinking of something.
This is true. Let a smile be your umbrella, but don't get a mouthful of rain.